am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Hello, troopers, and welcome to an important episode of the Real Jumpers podcast. I am your host, Turner Thompson, and joining me are my fellow jumpers. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Bert. Hi. You know, keep that in. It's fun.
All right. Everyone sign off, starting from the top.
Hi. I'm McKinley, a.k.a. Nikki, your resident history buff and streamer. Follow me on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. Take it away, Dennis.
You just ignore me on purpose, I swear.
What's your name today?
Elder Graybeard. All right, well, hey, I'm Dom. I'm just ignored by all women, I guess. That's just my whole shtick. That's my whole existence. I'm just here to be ignored. Even my friends don't even like me. But yeah, I guess I got that going for me.
I'm so sorry.
All right.
Then why do you do it so much?
Hi there, name's Dennis, resident Gundam expert in our little cacophony group. And I will always say it to this day, Gundams are better than Godzilla. You can fight me on this.
I'm going to take you straight to Applebee's. I'm going to whoop your ass. It'll be a dirty, just dad-on-dad fight. Like, it's not going to be pretty at all.
You want to know why Godzilla is better than Gundams? Because of the whole Miku meme from Fortnite. No, Godzilla and Miku are best friends. That's why they're better.
Hey guys, it's me, Steven. Among all this chaos, I just want to take a minute to tell you guys, have a drink of water. Do some self-care.
Does soda count?
No.
No.
I mean, it starts out as water.
Awesome. I'll accept that answer.
What about 15 shots of Gamer Stups, a soda, and a Monster Energy?
America.
All right, troopers, today we're celebrating something incredible. Our podcast on YouTube just hit 1,000 subscribers. Yay!
Let's fucking go!
Thank you, everybody.
I can't count. Is that more than 5?
It is definitely more than 5.
Okay, is it more than 10, though? That's how I know we've really made it.
It is more than 10.
Holy shit, I gotta go tell my mom.
So,
Ma, we got 15 subscribers!
It was
Dom, more than that. just keep going up, dude. Keep going up.
Hang on, I need a minute to count this. Just ignore me, go on.
Okay.
all right, anyway, so for this occasion...
500?
More.
No, continue, Turner. Ignore them.
So for this occasion, we will be completing our coverage on the original Japanese Godzilla. So that's... I can't believe it. It's also going to be our 10th episode.
Wow.
I can't believe we've gone this far. Like, honestly, I thought I was going to give up after, like, the 5th episode.
That's a quitter mentality.
Listen, you sat us down and used this as an excuse to have your friends watch your favorite franchise.
Yeah, it is. It is exactly that.
That is exactly why this started.
So the good news is we've covered a lot of the plot already, and the context to this movie. So we don't need to really go anywhere with that. So before starting, I'd like to shout out where we get our research from. That being Wikizilla, Wikipedia, IMDb, and the YouTubers Big Action Bill, Paper Fins, and the Unapologetic Geek. Links to their channels will be in the YouTube description. Like always, we would like to make the disclaimer that the point of our podcast is to be a comedy and entertain. So if we happen to get anything wrong or mispronounce any names, we're sorry, and we encourage you to do your own research if these films interest you. Please comment below what we might have gotten wrong or any other fun facts about the film. And remember to drop us a like and subscribe if you enjoy the show. It really helps us out, and it would mean the world if you supported the Real Jumpers, now certified by 1,000 subscribers!
The real jumpers.
We got our certification! Let's go!
Did we get our blue check mark on Twitter yet?
I'm never going to Twitter. Screw that website.
Well, Twitter doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, no, I think it's all about blue sky is what you need to do. But even then, I don't even like social
Are you
media. But I
kidding?
guess I'm
it's
gonna
all
have
about
to.
Red Note now. Have you not heard?
You mean that's spyware?
Yeah.
All spyware.
I don't even
Like
know
that
that's
camera
true.
I've got set up in your window right now.
My God,
The birds are the bourgeoisie.
bourgeoisie birds. Anyway, now then, ladies and gentlemen, gear up. We're jumping feet first into the hardest sci-fi. This is Real Jumpers. Now let's drop. The year is 1954. On March 1st, the United States begins conducting tests of the hydrogen bomb in the Pacific Ocean. Sometime later, on the 13th of August, a fishing vessel disappears off the coast of Japan. Over the course of several weeks, countless ships and coastal communities are attacked until approximately 1 month later, the prehistoric monster known as Godzilla is seen making landfall on the outskirts of Tokyo, stunning the nation. Through the following weeks, Dr. Yamane and his family's lives become intertwined with these unprecedented events. Yamane is responsible for discovering Godzilla's atomic origins, which serves only to frighten a nation grappling with the impossible nature of this beast. Yamane's daughter even finds herself caught in a love triangle, where one of the men involved may hold the key to defeating Godzilla. After nearly a week of desperate planning, an electrical fence is constructed, the likes of which the world has never seen, and is the only hope the island nation has of halting Godzilla's return. On September 1st, at approximately 8 p.m., Godzilla was spotted surfacing in Tokyo Bay. The anomaly of nature was then seen lumbering up to the shoreline as every available artillery piece trained their sights on the monster. Tensions ran high as the fence was switched on and the monster approached, pausing briefly at the fence's edge. The city grew silent before the king of the monsters breached the electric fence with contemptuous ease, snapping the high-tension wires as if they were nothing. Artillery and gunfire rained down on the beast, but he shrugs off the assault, his roar echoing as he obliterates the remaining towers. Then, unleashing his atomic breath, he melts the steel structures like they were nothing, because it's about sending a message.
Fuck infrastructure.
Yes, screw infrastructure, man. Ever since the train attacked his foot, he's like, I'm gonna destroy all your shit.
When you're taller than several buildings, why would you need infrastructure?
I could just imagine the chief engineer in this situation sitting there. Like, even though, yes, the situation is horrifying and scary, there must be a part of him being like, God damn it. Just seeing him walk right through it.
Just, I can do better right before he dies.
I could do better.
I could have done better.
With the perimeter fallen, Godzilla's rampage begins. A column of tanks and artillery make a futile attempt to halt his advance. Godzilla responds with another devastating blast of its atomic fire. And then we get the best scene in the movie. Honestly, one of the best. As the camera turns and we just see a googly-eyed Godzilla staring into the camera.
This is the best thing ever. This had to pass through a board of people. And they looked at this and went, yes, this is what we want for this scene. Yes.
I know.
A hand puppet with googly eyes.
Bro looks like my second grade art project.
At the same time, in reality, when people saw this part of the movie, they were genuinely terrified to where they ran out of the theaters. Which is...
No. That's not. This
Thinking
isn't
of
this
later.
part.
Okay.
That happens later, but you are right. That does happen at some point. That's how impactful this film was. It did genuinely scare some people enough to make them run for their lives, if for like a brief moment.
Let's think about this puppet for a quick second and how it was created. I like to think the puppet was in the back of the car one day while this guy was driving his kid to school, and the kid decided to stick googly eyes to it and go, "Here, Papa," and he went, "Yes."
Genius.
The interesting thing about that particular puppet is that it has a tube that feeds up its mouth and it allows it to do the atomic breath, because what they do is that they have mist, and in order to make the atomic breath quote-unquote glow is they use the same technique that we talked about in our previous episode about melting the fences because they're made of wax. They use a bright stage light to illuminate that particular part of the face, and that's where the quote-unquote glow comes from. So it's an interesting technique. I mean, it doesn't look great, but it's at least them working with what they got.
I think this is the derpiest thing ever. I love it so freaking much. It's so derpy. It's cute.
Like I said, like I've been trying to say, merchandise is to the left. Then soon, in meeting room, field reports saying that they've lost track of the monster. How do you do this?
I know.
This creature is literally stomping and shooting fire from its mouth. You could hear it. Fuck, you could see it from the streets. But you know what? Lost it. So, all in all, it must have been the wind.
It must have been the wind. Like, the worst part about this whole shtick is, like, I can understand that if it is the dead of night with no moon out and Godzilla was walking around or just standing still in the middle of the countryside, I could imagine how you may lose track of him, because when there's literally no light, you can't see him. I get that. But we are in a city. They shows they have searchlights. And everything is fucking on fire.
Just that. The city is illuminated. It's not like the power's out. The city is still on. There are literally street lights. They're still active.
Not to mention Godzilla is still stomping around, creating a crap ton of noise.
Exactly.
The only excuse I could possibly think of is because he's not yet, like, super Mundo tall. Like, he could duck behind a building, and if he's, like, actually not moving, and you're standing, like, in just the right spot, like, okay, fine, you can't see him. But, like, the second he stands back up or, like, starts moving again, you just have no excuse. This isn't playing hide and seek with a 5-year-old. This is a giant radioactive dragon. How did you lose him?
After the armored divisions sent in have already been destroyed, we see the new orders being relayed to police officers in the street via radio before Godzilla emerges from the buildings to strike at them with his atomic breath. One, it leads to a pretty amazing jump scare, not gonna lie, but then it further destroys my heart and breaks it in two by getting rid of the most amazing sound in all of Godzilla so far. Which, if you don't know, in King of the Monsters, the police officer that was in the vehicle that was said turned to slag had the best sound I've ever heard. And on here, it's gone. It broke my heart.
I was so sad when I found out that was an English dub. I was like looking forward to that moment. I was gearing up, ready for it, and then it didn't happen.
I was so disappointed too.
What got me more in both scenes that I noticed, not one police officer went to go help the one in the car. They all said, well, you're dead. Bye.
They all just totally abandoned his ass to get incinerated.
No, here, let me set the scene for you with this stupid shit. They're huddled around the car like the dude inside of the car's got a Lunchables and it's second grade. He's the talk of the town. And suddenly they look over and the fucking teacher is standing over them trying to take the Lunchable. And then she shoots some bad breath at him. I don't know how that works. But, like, they're just all huddled about, and Godzilla just, fuck you to that one dude in the car. And honestly, I don't think he would have had enough time to get out, because it actually did happen pretty quick. But, like, what is anyone's else supposed to do in that situation? If you try to get him out of the car, you're screwed, too. Sorry, buddy.
At least attempt to open the door, open the door as everyone runs away. But no one did that. They just left him in there to cook. It become a hot pocket. That's what he was. He turned into a hot pocket.
Odds are everyone on that street, even if they didn't directly get hit by the atomic breath, are probably gonna die of radiation poisoning.
Especially the police officers around that car.
Anyone who's even near there is dead from radiation poisoning.
Oh, shit. Don't worry, everyone. I have a rant about this. Considering that his own footsteps are irradiated.
Well, speaking of footsteps, a fun fact, though, just really, really quick. You don't really see it in the film, but one of the things they did, the streets on the miniature set are made with plaster and sawdust, and they're designed in a way so that he could leave his footprints in them.
Interesting.
Yeah, they never really panned out because it turned out that there was one a worker who fell face first into it, and they couldn't redo it, so they don't show that. Like his outline is in it.
Damn it, Jerry! Why'd you have to trip and fall?
Well, you can't just drop that lore on me and just leave it. What? You're telling me fucking intern Coon fell face first and left an implant in the sand, and they were just like, fuck, we can't use this.
He's the pizza guy that fucked up.
I mean, there was another time someone else also, like, the Diab building got hit twice, which is why there's a composite of it later, but, like, the guy who was playing Godzilla passed out and fell into it, and then the guy, one of the crewmen also fell into it, so that's why they had to do it in post.
God damn. They're just in the fucking end meeting, and they're just like, all right, so the fucking Takanawa fell into the building. It's okay, it was an accident, but everyone please be careful. God damn it!
God damn it, Jerry!
All right, Dennis, continue, please.
That was the end of Turner's acting. What's your field again?
I am a compositor, so I do visual effects work.
That was the end of Turner's segment, visual compositing. Yeah.
Well, more like visual effects in general. Not a lot of
I was trying to do a funny
involved. Yeah,
transition.
Trying to do something.
It fell harder than the people in the set.
Oh, yeah.
I'm adding that to the blooper reel.
Yeah.
From a distance, we see the city of Tokyo burning. Godzilla soon approaches a building where our mother shelters her children. The film genuinely pulls no punches as reality sets in, the mother comforting her kids in her arms, telling them that they'll soon be with their father in heaven as the building collapses and erupts in flames. Which,
Jesus,
to me, gives something that I've been enjoying so far as of late. One of the main differences between this and King of the Monsters that I have genuinely noticed is cause and effect. It's the one thing that in King of the Monsters to me was missing. There was something missing throughout the movie as it focused on Steve Martin and his stupid hairline. So in all of it was implied of the carnage, the wreckage, and things like that. Here, it shows the people dying in the streets from Godzilla effectively shooting atomic flamethrower like a Pokemon move.
and the craziest part is that very few movies ever show this again where he directly targets people. The only other one I could think of is Giant Monsters All Out Attack. In that one, Godzilla has a vendetta against people. He will single people out. So that's pretty insane.
All right, I want to go ahead and bring into play a difference in time periods here for the people who watched it when it came out to the people of now who watched it literally 2 weeks ago. When this came out, this entire movie is, one giant metaphor for the nuclear bombings. And we'll get to that later. So you have all this destruction happening, this real chaos unfolding in front of the Japanese people in Tokyo and everything. This monsters come and destroyed everything. Everything's dark and terrifying and absolutely horrible. People are dying left and right. And then you see this mother. The last thing anybody would ever want to see, a mother consoling her child, knowing that it is the end of the line, that there is nothing she can do, and the only thing that she can do is tell her child that, they're just going to see their father again. And it's so jaw-dropping, and when you watch that for the first time, probably back then, because it was so real and inspiring when it first came out, the entire scene is just heart-clenching. Now let's get to today. When these buffoons watch the movie, and I'm not going to insult you buffoons, but you buffoons, we watch this giant radioactive dinosaur come up from the beach, break through the wires like it's dental floss, say fuck infrastructure, tear down a couple buildings, the googly eyes show, and these assholes are just laughing it up. And as soon as this scene hits, they're like, oh shit. This scene is a very good representation of it's a good tonal shift. No matter what time period, it brings the tone back to where it needs to be, and that's really good writing.
And to me, I enjoy that because I enjoy it because of the fact of where it's not jangling key. Oh, it's jangling keys. Put away. It's full on. This is a giant radioactive, destructive lizard destroying everything that we know. It has there is no additional plot threads. It is just straight carnage. Reporters and film crews are seen broadcasting the devastation and destruction from their vantage point as the beast crosses a bridge and strikes Nippon Theater with its tail. The impact of this reached far beyond the silver screen and in real life caused people to flee from the theaters the moment this was shown. Which it really is nuts considering the fact that I've never personally seen it happen. But it's a mixture of how realistic they were able to get this off, and at the same time, how many people's PTSD genuinely kicked in and saw the devastation and thought they were running for their lives again. Like that, it's something that I can't even speak on because of the fact that I was like, I don't know what I would do in that instance. Would I be shitting my pants, or would I be too scared to move from my seat?
This whole bit reminds me of how, like, back in the day when movies were just becoming a thing, moving pictures like were wowing people. There's that famous footage of like the train approaching the station. That, like, if you're in a theater room and you see that coming, it did genuinely scare people back in the day because they saw a train coming towards them and, like, they didn't understand what they were looking at. So that's what this whole sequence kind of reminds me of.
Let's do a quick thought experiment here in the podcast, okay? I want you to think about the last time you saw something that actually made you feel or believe that you were there in the movie. For me, this is so funny and stupid that this is actually mine. It was my first 4D movie experience. You know, you go in, you sit down, they splash water on your face, they jostle your seats, air, this and that. All right. That was my first experience because it was so real. What's stupid about it is it was at the Museum of the World of Coca-Cola in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was just a promotional ad.
I think for me, it was when I watched The Tremors for the first time. I did not want to get off my couch.
God, I love Tremors. We need to watch that movie next.
Tremors is definitely on my list.
I think for a lot of people, it would have been when, 3D or 4D first became a big thing, and then it died up.
Pacific Rim in 3D.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
I don't think I've ever had that experience. I feel like I've always been able to separate what I'm watching from reality enough that I've never actually felt like, not threatened, but like actually scared.
Yeah, it's just a different experience.
Just a different experience. Okay,
different
Dom.
perspective. I mean, I'm a pansy. I don't like scary stuff. Like when I played Alien Isolation a couple Halloweens ago, that was like the first like horror game I've ever played.
That was a lot of fun.
But in contrast, when I played the Monster Hunter Wilds beta a couple of days ago, and I fought, I don't know the name of it, but like the big lightning dragon with the thunder whips, that was so cool. I got that like whole visceral, well, not visceral, but I got that like, I also got the tingles, whatever. It was just such a cool moment to experience. I was just like, oh my God, yeah.
All right, so here's my fun thought experiment for the rest of our viewers or listeners, depending on where you are. I want you to think about the last time that you watched or played something that you felt completely immersed and that you could not differentiate reality. And comment it wherever you're listening or watching this. Comment it in the comments. We would love to hear from what your experience is.
As more and more buildings are toppled, Godzilla seemingly spares the Diop building before turning his attention to the pesky paparazzi.
Oh my
The damn
God.
media.
I said no photos.
Flash photography! No flash photography!
Vegeta, the paparazzi are here. I have to protect my image.
Yeah.
Straight up did to the paparazzi what Will Smith did to
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock. Yeah.
Chris Rock.
Oh my god. So the flashing lights of their cameras attract Godzilla towards the radio tower that they are in. A haunting image of Godzilla approaching the tower is seen before the kaiju kills them all, toppling the tower like it was wet cardboard. And I genuinely mean this. I might throw up an image of this in the podcast so that people can see it, but like for YouTube. But like this shot where Godzilla is approaching them from their perspective is like, it's like, it looks almost like bit crushed and really high contrast, but it looks horrifying. Like, it looks really scary. And then you see the goofy puppet biting the tower.
The shot Turner was talking about is the first time, like, in the entire movie, I thought that Godzilla looked menacing at all.
Yeah.
It was probably the only time.
And it was the only time.
Like, he does look kind of quote unquote scary depending on his angle, but like Steve does have a point, because it is more or less like, we're from 2024. We're used to seeing, like, I've seen the peak of horror, and it's Alien, best movie ever made. I'll get to it at some point.
Even though we're in 2024, like, I still see how people found this movie terrifying. It's because of the damn googly eyes, honestly. It's because even in the shots where he's supposed to be completely serious, menacing, he's killing people, it's awful. And then he fucking turns towards the camera, and I see those big, dumb googly eyes. It's just like, how am I supposed to take this seriously?
Yeah.
As Godzilla kills the paparazzi, which he might be doing the right thing, we don't know. Out of all, he's been horrible up to this point. Might have been the one silver lining. He did get rid of the press. So
He did it good. Sometimes the press are just a bit too pushy.
yeah, but the haunting part is that Dr. Serizawa, who, if you haven't been keeping up with our podcast, Dr. Serizawa is the protege of Dr. Yamada. He is the one who is engaged to Emiko, the daughter of Yamada, and is being cucked by Ogata.
He's the one that wears the eye patch that you swear when you first see him that he's an evil scientist, and then you learned out that he's kind of cool.
He's Majima.
Yeah. So Dr. Serizawa is seen in his house, because he's a recluse, catching the end of the broadcast of the very paparazzi that Godzilla just killed from his television. And from there, he continues to witness the untold destruction of Tokyo from the ancient beast. I've had nightmares like this where I've been in the position of being able to, like, from a distance witness something kaiju-like happening, and I will always wake up in a cold sweat. It's just exactly like this. The city continues to burn as the Monster King flips a bridge out of what could be only pure spite, flooding a river and destroying multiple riverside homes. And it's so funny to me that the way he does it.
Mono Red Commanders!
He's like a Magic player rage quitting, dude. He hates this. He had no reason to. He couldn't. He went out of his way.
Oh, the one Magic player who was a girl.
Dude, well, I think Godzilla's female. Like, it's unclear, but I think it's female. But like, Godzilla goes up to this thing and just flips it, and it's so funny. I love the way he looks so human when he does it.
Yeah.
He straight up takes a look at it, thinks once, thinks twice. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Then he goes over and he's like, fuck this bridge.
In particular.
Back to a serious note, Yamane and his family are on the shoreline, and they see this in the distance in horror. Shinkichi in particular, who is the only survivor of his family when Godzilla attacked Odo Island, is now watching in horror as, like, Godzilla is once again destroying on an even larger scale. And, like, could you imagine being Shinkichi? Like, your whole family was murdered by this radioactive dragon, like, less than 3 weeks ago, and now it's back and murdering on an even larger scale.
Here I go murdering again.
Oh boy, here I go killing again.
Shinkichi is the herald of Godzilla.
Yeah.
He's the one
Terrifying.
Actually, no, you know what? He's Kaiba, and Godzilla is the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Wait, he's Mokuba. Make sure he's disqualified.
Shut up, Mokuba. The Air Force is then seen rolling in to put a stop to the monster's rampage, which, by the way, where the hell were they?
They were fueling up.
They were taking their union break. Don't worry.
Their union break? Is Godzilla a huge psyop where he was just there to help bust unions?
This movie wasn't about nuclear fallout at all. It was about stopping unionization.
It has the hidden message like in Family Guy. Instead of one message is stop union, stop unions.
So anyway, however, despite what the music and all the crowds would have you believe, they do nothing. Not a single shot from these pilots directly impacts Godzilla.
But no, it's not that it hits him and doesn't do anything. It's that it literally doesn't hit him, remember? Because they didn't want to actually explode stuff on the suit, which makes sense. But in the movie, they literally miss.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like, Raditz going, you actually singed my leg hairs.
No, it has nothing to do with that. They literally can't hit him.
Yeah, you watched it with us.
No, actually, watch this separately.
You watched King of the Monsters.
Yeah, it's like Mushu going, you missed. How did you miss? It was 5 feet in front of you.
Right?
XCOM rules, my dude.
Especially considering, too, that, okay, I'm not in the military or anything, but, fighter jets, even, those older ones, are pretty damn accurate. You kind of have to try to miss your target, I'd think. Godzilla's also not really moving. He's this giant target, and you're flying at him at, a downwards angle. You have to actually try to miss. It's the same argument they make in Star Wars with, how the hell does anybody miss? The reason they use blasters is because they don't have any bullet drop. They fly straight. It's a laser.
And no spread.
No, not to mention, this is going to jump into the future for a quick second. Even in -1, same airplanes, they still hit. Tell me, how does that make sense?
Because CG can hit the monster.
The argument that they were afraid of blowing stuff up on Godzilla, previously when we see tanks shooting at him, there are explosives that are on the suit. So no, that excuse is not good enough.
What the hell?
That's just lazy.
And also, yeah, like you said earlier, you get the reaction shots of all the people on the shore or whatever. They're all just yeah, fuck them up. Yeah, they're actually doing something, and they're clearly not.
No, Godzilla just leaves out of embarrassment. He's just embarrassed for the entire situation.
He's just y'all are all right later. It's like King Kong later.
Let's not talk about that one. Not just yet.
Not yet. That'll be a fun episode, or 2 episodes. Anyway, go ahead, Dennis.
It's time for our new special event. It's the Dennis Rant. It's time for the Dennis Rant. Yeah. Okay, so we all know about the current attack that's going on right now. Godzilla going through like a toddler going through a town of Legos. He's kicking everything around. The one thing that you don't see is kind of where Ogata, really Dr. Yamada lives. From what I can tell, they're kind of on the outskirts of Tokyo.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Enough to, the commute be fine, but at the same time, far enough away to enjoy the overall cityscape. And you see them both on the radio and visually see scenes of Tokyo being destroyed. Tell me, why in the holy name of Godzilla's tail did all of them, Yamada, Ogata, Emiko, and her now new brother, who, may I remind you, just survived one attack and is 1,000% traumatized from it. You cannot tell me that he's not traumatized from it. These 4 individuals decide to go, who also know whatever Godzilla is full-on irradiated. Because when in the island that they found her brother, they saw that the footsteps are irradiated. Tell me why it's a good idea for them to go put on their fucking shoes and view Godzilla like it's a fucking attraction or like a street parade.
But funny thing about that is that on the island, they didn't care about the radiation. They were like, yeah, the footprint's radiated, and then they just stayed in it.
Right? Oh my god, that's
Like,
right.
no protective equipment. They just stood in it after that. Everyone back up, but we'll stay here.
They're just like they just put up the thing in their wall and they're like, yep, there's radiation here, and they just went for a stroll.
I think it's just also because, again, it's like, this is like barely post World War II or something like that. I think they still don't really understand how radiation quite works yet.
Yeah, I don't think the layman really gets it. Like, at this point, like, one thing I will say, that's the only reason that I forgive Yamana being there, as opposed to remember the doctor / boss / father of Hidemi from Raise Again and how much we hate that guy. He has no excuse. Yamane's excuse is that he is very involved, so I can kind of buy why he's there.
Okay.
But only a little bit. But what you bring up is very solid. After a certain point, what is he gonna do? He's a smart, educated man. He should know that he needs to get out of Dodge.
All right, I could buy Dr. Yamada, but Emiko's boyfriend,
Yeah,
forgetting his name,
Ogata.
Ogata is a seasoned military man. Why the fuck are you are you allowing your girlfriend and now your girlfriend's adopted brother to go to fucking Tokyo and you're just okay with it? Look, why are you here? Shouldn't you be in the office coordinating with them? What is your job title, sir? I need to know.
He is a Navy guy, but I totally get you.
At this point, how many days off do you have to just say, "Oh, this is going on in my motherland"? I'm on my day off. I don't care.
his PTO.
He's on annual leave. Leave him alone.
Dude, let me tell you what. If a 50-meter tall or however tall Godzilla is, dinosaur comes rampaging through my city, you best believe I'm using every second of PTO I have.
You know what? Fair. But you know what? Fair. You know what? I'll take
You
that.
get paid for the natural disaster.
Exactly. I got my Godzilla leave.
As the night fades away, the ruined city is illuminated by the morning light, and we are faced with imagery meant to invoke bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Like, they do a really good job at that.
Yeah.
We see hospitals are being overrun with dead and dying as somber music fills the air. Men, women, and even children are seen testing positive for radiation sickness. Emiko, desperate to help, is seen doing what she can, which isn't much. Just comforting children. And among those children is a young girl that's crying and screaming for her dead mother as she's taken away by hospital staff. And these screams are horrifying. Like, they are very visceral. It doesn't sound like acting. It sounds like she was actually like distraught.
Pretty sure they actually killed her mom in real life and then just filmed her reaction.
Dude, it's method acting. They had to get it legit. They wanted they were terrified of people being like thinking the monster is silly, so they legitimately killed her mom or something to get
Oh
this
my
kind
gosh.
of
Damn.
No, but what Steve is saying is so true. This entire section is what really hammers home that this movie was not meant to be silly at all. This movie was meant to be serious.
It's not like, say, in King of the Monsters, we have a random white man who, on his layover from Cairo, take away from the entire scene of street destruction.
It does evoke a lot of wartime imagery too, but like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, it shows. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. All right, what you said shows exactly what America did during that time frame. They didn't want America to see what they had done to Japan and everything. That's why they changed so much of it.
I mean, a lot does still get through, but like they like tilt the camera away from a lot of the stuff.
They do, and they downplay it. Okay? I'm not trying to shit on our country as much as I probably sound like I am, but this is exactly what they did. They brought the movie over, and then they took scenes out, put a random ass white guy in it, just so that they ended up downplaying to a degree what this movie was actually meant to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Haunted by an eerily familiar vision of Japan's wartime past, Emiko faces a terrible choice. When Ogata finds her, she reveals she knows a way to kill Godzilla, breaking her promise to Serizawa. Emiko confesses to witnessing the creation of this horrific weapon in Serizawa's lab in a flashback. It strips water of oxygen, annihilating all life within moments. After World War II, Serizawa sought to research oxygen and stumbled upon something that was intended for good, but it became a nightmare. The most feared weapon in the Godzilla mythos. The Oxygen Destroyer.
The Oxygen Destroyer!
Yeah, fuck oxygen.
Who needs it?
As a quick aside, the version of the Oxygen Destroyer in the Monsterverse films is a pussy compared to the one in this movie. It doesn't even kill Godzilla, dude. It just made him take a nap.
No. Does that show just how much of a pussy the device has gotten, or does that show how powerful Godzilla has gotten?
No, it genuinely doesn't even seem to do what it was supposed to do. Like, this one actually kills Godzilla. The one in the Monsterverse film, King of the Monsters, when he's fighting Ghidorah in the water, and he gets hit directly in the chest, and it didn't even take his ass out.
Bruh.
It made him go, and go away, but it's oh god, it bothers me. It showed me that whoever threw in the Oxygen Destroyer in that movie didn't really understand the weight of that weapon.
How much did they use in that movie?
They used, it looks like a nuclear warhead.
Okay, so probably way more than they used in this movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't even do the same thing. It's like green lightning or some bullshit.
What?
I don't know. It's not even the same thing.
Okay.
I think they handled it poorly. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Okay. Just a little piece of this, Serizawa explained, dropped into the water could turn the entire Tokyo Bay into a graveyard, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Despite its terrifying potential, Serizawa clung to hope that he could find a peaceful use for this devastating invention. However, he does fear that if he was forced to hand over his research, he would rather destroy his work than let it fall into the wrong hands.
Politicians.
Yeah. Military. Upon hearing this, Ogata and Emiko agreed that they must confront Serizawa and get the weapon.
Can I also point out that, what's her name, Emiko, made the promise not to tell anybody about this Oxygen Destroyer, then breaks it within, well, how long's it been? Like 72 hours?
About a week. It's about a week.
I will give her 4 days at the most. What the hell, dude?
Things change, man.
Circumstances are different. The life of the entire world is on the line, or at least Japan.
Dude, I was on Namek, man. Shit got real.
I saw Godzilla flip a bridge, man. Shit changed.
You see what it did to those wires? It was like it was a toothpick.
He didn't even need to do it. He just wanted to.
He just walked straight through it. Like it was nothing.
That's what makes this movie so horrifying, is that Godzilla didn't even need to do any of this. He wanted to.
That's true, though.
No, I mean, instead of like just him being like a natural disaster, and someone like finds out that he's totally sentient and like human level smart, and Godzilla was just like, no, I absolutely know what I'm doing. I'm specifically killing people.
Hold on. That is actually a theory, that Godzilla is pissed off that all of his, because we know there are more Godzillas. I mean, the little next movie in this franchise shows that. The theory is that this particular Godzilla is angry that his family got irradiated and scarred by the bomb and is taking out his frustration on mankind.
Really? Interesting.
He's also in pain, which is another thing that...
Oh, yeah, that's something that we brought up in the last one.
Yeah, exactly.
That my theory, and it was most likely happened because, you know, at the end of the day, it's a creature. It's probably an animal. But he woke up, and now there's all this infrastructure and everything, and he's probably just in pain and confused.
So anyways, after all this happens, the both of them rush to his lab and confront him about the Oxygen Destroyer. The second they get, I'm talking on site, he knows what they're there for, and he's just like, absolutely not. And he just locks himself into his lab. Like, I'm serious. The second they come in, he's just like, I know what you're here for. Get out. And he like slams the door in their faces. And so Ogata just busts down the door like fucking Kool-Aid Man style. Okay, not actually, but it's still kind of funny to think, right? And as he gets in there and he's like all up in his face, he's like, dude, do you not see this stupid dinosaur? You have to kill this thing. And he's like, no, if I show the world the Oxygen Destroyer, they're gonna take it and use it for something stupid. So this eventually just culminates in a really like I appreciate what they were trying to do. I really do. But this fight is really bad.
Please remember, it's old Hollywood.
It's old Hollywood. Just like, they're too into it, but also not into it enough. And also, like, half of it happens off screen because you have to have Emiko's reaction shot. Just like, yeah, stop fighting.
So it's all implied.
It's all implied.
Yeah, it's all implied.
The campy 50s acting.
Yeah.
I think I distinctly remember you seeing a fish going bloop, bloop, bloop.
Oh yeah, they like pan in on like one of the fish as like the stock sounds are like happening in the background of them fighting. It's just like, God damn it. I know we don't have fight choreography yet, but come on.
So would you rather them actually beat up each other?
Yes.
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 It would have looked better. So ultimately, the Doctor is victorious, and Okada is kind of injured in the fight, so Emiko starts kind of tending to him, and it's here where he kind of comes to his senses, and he finally relents, and he helps Okada up, and they kind of make amends here, and he has to come to a shattering realization at this point that his future with Emiko just really isn't meant to be. And even though as much shit as I give this movie and make fun of it, like, man, that's quite the somber topic, man.
I'm sorry. I hate to break the moment, but instead of post-nut clarity, it's post-fight clarity.
The thing is, this movie, throughout the entire plot, it's showing this love triangle between the three of them.
Yeah.
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 I don't see that love triangle. I see more Okada and Emiko having their romance, and Serizawa, the family friend, showing her, you've effectively been in my life this entire time. I need to show you what I've created. I don't see that that supposed feelings for you because we're supposed to be in an arranged marriage. I don't see it.
Wasn't it they were in an arranged marriage, right? That's
is.
like
Yes,
why
it is arranged.
Yeah. And it's more of a case of there's plenty of examples throughout history, like, you know, nobility did arranged marriage all the time, and like, sure, like if I tell you right this second you're getting married to this person tomorrow, you're gonna be like, I don't know this dude, what the hell? But there's plenty of documented instances where arranged marriages did turn into genuine love, and you know, back then it was kind of a normal thing to have happen. So I think Ogata was more just like, okay, I'm cool with this. It's going to happen, and we'll probably try and love each other the best we can. But then...
You mean Serizawa, sorry.
Serizawa, yeah. But then Ogata comes around, and it's just like, damn, they're in genuine love.
Okay, I'm going to be a history nut real quick. And Dom is right. There is instances in history where an arranged marriage happens and it does end in a beautiful, wonderful romance. The most notable one that most people can automatically think of is that of Queen Victoria to, yes, her cousin, Prince Albert. They were very much in love. And I also want to remind viewers, all right, that this is Japanese culture, and it is or was at least a very traditional thing for them to do. It is called an omai. Mai, and please, I'm sorry if I pronounce it, meaning matchmaking, literally look to meet. So it was a very common practice. I'm not sure if it's still around today, but that's exactly what happened here.
Either way, after this whole thing happens, calmer heads finally prevail, and both sides kind of come to an understanding, but they're both in the same boat of like, Ogata and Emiko kind of understand Serizawa's fear of the oxygen destroyer being brought into the public eye, being used for just, you know, more atrocities, which just might lead to more events similar to the one they find themselves in. But at the same time, he's like, I mean, how else are we supposed to kill this stupid dinosaur, you know? And something that just I'm so sad about is that in the American version, King of the Monsters, we get this super profound line that goes that you have a responsibility no man has ever faced. You have your fear, which might become reality. You have Godzilla, which is reality. Oh, I love that line so much.
I know.
That's actually like one of the single most profound things I think I've ever heard. But it's such a good line. And To watch the original Japanese version and realize that it didn't originate from it, I was both proud and kind of sad. It's just like, damn, whoever wrote that, give him an Oscar.
They were cooking in that moment. They were full on.
He was cooking with portals. So they argue in circles for a little bit, but ultimately they kind of turn on the TV. Or sorry, no, the TV's been on this whole time. Actually, the background, but they do the magical film editing of it can only be heard now that it's relevant to the plot.
Exactly.
There's a Deus Ex guilt trip in the form of a children's choir singing like kind of a requiem for the deceased, which is very sweet and like actually kind of heart-wrenching, but oh my god, it goes on for such a long time.
Oh, it does.
It's uncomfortably too long.
Yeah.
You want to know what baffles me about this entire Deus Ex guilt trip?
Mm-hmm.
The day before, a literal monster attacked this entire city, yet the next day, these kids still go to school.
Yeah, man. You need to know the Pythagorean theorem to defeat Godzilla.
Exactly.
So, after the Deus Ex guilt trip, finally the doctor realizes, all right, the gloves are off. We have to do it. And he agrees to use the oxygen destroyer, but only under his own terms. And after that, he burns every single paper, every single snippet of research he has so that nobody can possibly replicate it.
Exactly.
Kudos to the man for going through with it. He was determined to not let anyone get their hands on that. He was like, from that moment, he was like, my research is going down with me. I am the last person who knows how to make this.
Yeah.
He was the only person to know it. So it's like I'm the one to discover it. I am the one to end it.
Yeah, well, he doesn't like destroy the whole lab. He like burns all of his paper. I guess it's implied that he destroys like the whole lab. But like on screen, he just like starts destroying papers and stuff, you know?
All right. Nikki, this will be your next part.
Some time passes before we see the Navy operation that is well underway after determining the location of Godzilla, who is currently underwater, and they do this with the use of Geiger counters. Not big ones, mind you, just a little handheld one, so they're literally just pointing a little stick at the water. I think he's over here, right?
If Godzilla is so radioactive that your tiny handheld Geiger counter can pick him up off of the bottom of the ocean, you are so fucked.
So if anybody's seen the video where Markiplier, feeds Amy's dishware, think of that Geiger counter. That's exactly what he used. All right?
Exactly.
And that's exactly the reaction I would have, too.
Dude, they're all dead. They're all screwed.
All right. The Navy now begins its operation to put an end to the monster. All right. As they prepare to use the weapon, Serizawa demands that he be given a diving suit, which for the life of me, I'm trying to figure out why he wasn't given one in the beginning since he's the one that made the damn thing. But after much back and forth, Ogata relents and agrees, and the two of them will go down, since the doctor is the only one who knows how the device works, which, as I said in the first place, adoy.
Oh, quick little interjection. So this whole love story that was going on in the background, while I can admire the attempts to make it good, I don't like it, and to me it feels like the whole thing just serves to add extra tension to Emiko's sort of love interest and real love interest, both going down into a dangerous situation, and that's like all it really serves. I feel like this love story needed a second pass in the writing room, and then I would have liked it.
This is Meredith Grey sticking her hand in some guy's chest to stop a bomb level shit.
I've seen clips of that. That's really silly, but keep going.
Very good TV.
Then the infamous oxygen destroyer is unveiled, and its upcoming use weighs on Serizawa's heart before the 2-5. Emiko looking on in distress as they descend. And I would like to mention that I find it hilarious that every single monster movie we've watched so far has had the romance, except for the one designated for women. And I'm going to go ahead and interject, Turner, that this one was my favorite.
Well, I mean, this one has like, again, I don't like it, but I can admit that it has more structure than the other ones we've seen.
It does, and that's what I like about it. But I still find it funny that the woman movie didn't have any romance in it.
Exactly.
Just a misogynistic asshole.
But the best character on the planet.
Proof. Anyways, Once down below, they find Godzilla sleeping on the ocean floor. This fucker's taking a nap. Okay, and these assholes are about to be the rudest pieces of shit ever. All right? All right, Godzilla is sleeping on the ocean floor, and then these guys start to get ready to place the weapon. But before triggering the weapon, somber music plays once more as Serizawa tricks Ogata to the surface before him. He cuts his own line.
Just tapped on it. He
tapped on it and sent Ogata back up to the surface. Crew topside desperately trying to convince the doctor surface too as the weapon is activated, but the doctor merely wishes that Emiko and Ogata live happily ever after, or he cuts his own line, sacrificing himself and taking the secrets of the weapon with him. The ocean is then turned into a churning, boiling mass as Godzilla surfaces and lets out a dreadful final cry before he realizes how McDonald's makes their Sprite.
Yeah.
He destroyed all of the research to make the oxygen destroyer. Little did he know, like 2 decades later, McDonald's Sprite would come and achieve the same result.
No. Don't you know he gave it to his friend, Steve Martin, the creator of Ronald McDonald.
Dude, next time you guys don't hear from me for like 32 hours, you guys need to get some of that McDonald's Sprite to wake me up. Might be the only way.
I don't think even that'll work.
And in reality, the boiling mass as Godzilla surfaces and lets out a dreadful final cry before he is dissolved into nothing. The king of the monsters is no more. This poor guy is just taking a nap. And then he just sees these guys over here like, what are these guys doing? And then he died. How rude.
What do you mean, poor guy? He killed like a couple hundred people.
Well,
How rude
probably
is
a
that?
couple thousand.
It was deserved. They rammed a train into him.
That's true.
One thing I will say is that the roar that Godzilla has as he is dying is actually kind of unsettling. I see a lot of people who try to do scary, creepypasta stuff with Godzilla use that specific roar a lot. Yamane, his family, and all the crew look on in horror as the spawn of one super weapon was killed by a more horrifying one, in a sort of macabre irony about the folly of man continuing to repeat its mistakes. Yamane found himself alone as he lamented the death of his protege. He then goes on to say,
I cannot believe that Godzilla was the only surviving member of its species. But if we keep conducting nuclear tests, it's possible that another Godzilla might appear somewhere in the world again. As Yamane spoke these final words of warning, everyone on board knew that the world would not be the same. A few people laughed, a few people cried, but most people were silent. And that is the end of the film.
And at the end of it, in King of the Monsters, Steve Martin got a dope-ass looking scar.
But he wasn't there. And it was all the more better.
he's just off to the side.
Wasn't the kid on the boat?
Yeah. Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them.
He might have been. Yeah, no, they're all dead. Like they're not in the next movie. They all died of radiation poisoning.
That's why that's why Dr. Yamano is the only one built up and raids again, and then proceeds to go afterwards.
He never shows up again.
It's nice that this movie didn't have Steve, but it also didn't have what's his face, the little Japanese guy that followed Steve around everywhere.
I forget his name, but he's not little. He was only like 5 inches shorter than him.
Tomo?
You mean the translator?
Tobo?
Yeah.
Tomo?
Tomo?
Tomo. Yeah, Tomo. Yeah, that was his name. All right. Well, anyway, that is the end of the film. It's time for us to do our ratings. Now, normally, I usually go first because I am the host. However, I would like to say my review for this movie
Is extremely biased review.
Is extremely biased. Don't listen to me. But this movie is so important to me that I would like to have the final words on it.
I will go first. So I'm going to go ahead and say when we did the American version of this movie, I gave that a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that this movie would be so much higher on the rating scale.
Dude, I was so salty in our first episode that you gave it a 9 when I gave it an 8.5. I'm the Godzilla boy. I'm the one who Godzillas.
All right. I am a history nut. I love all things history. I love old Hollywood. I love old movies. I love metaphors. And this movie is just a giant metaphor. All right. It's so real to see how a nation takes a traumatic circumstance, a traumatic event, and turns it into something so scenic so that it can live forever and so that people can relive how that feeling was. I enjoyed this thoroughly. I felt like this is the equivalent of putting something on in a history class because it's related to the curriculum you're watching, and the teacher's like, okay, take notes. That's how I felt. That says a lot about me, but that's exactly how I felt. I thought I was having to take notes for a quiz. Thank you, Turner. That felt amazing.
You're welcome.
But let's, the reality here is this is such a massive telling of something that happened to Japan that was so traumatic, and it is just a good way to explain it without explaining it. I wish there was a better way to describe this. And I actually saw this, and I got brought to mind another movie that did exactly this, just a bit more in your face about it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I had Turner sit down and watch the majority of it with me. We still have 10 minutes to go in the movie. He's not ready. And that's and it's Grave of the Fireflies. Godzilla is a good telling. They tell the same story. It's just different parts of the event. Godzilla tells of what happened during the bombing, and Grave of the Fireflies is a good depiction of what happened afterwards. And you enjoyed it, right, Turner?
Oh my God, the movie is such a sucker punch to the emotions. And like, it's like the entire time when I was watching Grave of the Fireflies, I'm like, oh, I get this because I like Godzilla.
So it's one of those movies, this movie does a really good job about telling of history and everything, better than other movies. And I love metaphors. I recommend anybody go watch it. I recommend you watch Grave of the Fireflies directly after it too, because it's just so gut-wrenching and you get the full story spec. It just in different points of views. Just be wary. You will be emotionally damaged for like 2 months afterwards.
We real jumpers are not responsible for emotional damage.
So I with that being said, I love metaphors. I love old history and everything. And I love doing the research for this as well. I loved everything about this experience. So I actually give this an 11 out of 10. I break the scale. I go higher than the scale. I would recommend this movie to anybody who recommends it, because I thought Godzilla was just rawr, monsters destroy infrastructure, and it turned out that the start of this giant franchise was just one giant ass metaphor for a really bad disaster for a nation, and that is absolutely crazy to me.
All right, Dom.
I mean, I forget what I gave King of the Monsters. I think I gave it like a 4 or a 5 maybe, because the American version is like pretty average, slightly below average because of all the weird stuff they added. I'm one of those people that really advocates for seeing art as it was originally intended to be presented. And that's not really to take a crap on, localizations or anything. Like, King of the Monsters still, made more money than I'll ever make in my entire life. So it means it had to have been kind of good, right? So I can really appreciate the film a lot more in its original telling and intentions. And despite, how much shit I'm giving it, I did find it a lot more enjoyable than King of the Monsters. That's a solid, 8.5, 9 out of 10 this time around.
All right.
So, with this movie and how I feel with it, it's something kind of, at least to me, both complicated in the sense of how different it was compared to what we initially started with King of the Monsters, and not so complicated because it's something similar to what's currently happening with one of my favorite things, Gundam. It's something of where the legacy is there. And what I mean by, before I go into the comparisons between this and King of the Monsters, is that with Gundam, the creator of the series said that he wants his legacy to be tied to the series. especially with one of the ones. I know the name of it, but I'm just gonna keep on going because if not, we're just gonna go into a longer rant.
Yeah.
But he wants that to be his legacy when he passes, and he knows his time is coming soon. And throughout, it hit me more with how long Godzilla's been going on.
I think it's 70 years. That's how long it's been going. 70 years.
And
Wow.
70 years is something for me like, oh, holy shit. This thing has already been a part of people's, like with Turner's, people's lifespan, and fast forward them to their careers.
Yeah.
And to me, that's already awe-inspiring. And for the differences between King of the Monsters and Gojira, you can see the differences of the time periods of where King of the Monsters is making it seem like it's a documentary of a sci-fi film. Gojira was set in the tone of, this is real life. It's happening right now. Outside your door is Godzilla ready to destroy you. And to me, that is fantastic. It's the realism that I was craving, that King of the Monsters just focused on a kind of cheesy comedy, like, say, in early Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, I gave King of the Monsters a 6 out of 10, which honestly, it wasn't a bad movie. It was above average. This, I give it a 9. A good, solid 9.
Noise.
The only thing I can... the only reason why there's a point taken away is because my heart will forever be tied to the best death sound in all of cinema. That's the only reason. That's it.
Understandable.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Googly eyes.
All right, Steve, you go.
All right. I enjoyed this movie more than I enjoyed any other movie that we've watched so far, including the next movie that we're going to cover. I give this movie an 8 because
All right.
it actually felt like a cohesive story, and it was presented in a way that made sense, and it was good. Like, comparing it to the American version, I think I gave it a 4 or 5 or something around there. And just the fact that it was meddled with so much just ruined the pacing, and the original just fixes everything that I had wrong with the American remake, minus the death sound. But yeah, this movie is my favorite so far out of all of the ones that we've watched.
In terms of taking this seriously, I don't think any movie is going to top the seriousness of this, so we're just going to need to see if any of the goofy ones make you be like, yeah, I love this one.
Oh, no, going forward, I'm going to have 2 ratings for the goofy ones, like one that I think is if it's a good movie or not, and 2 is just how much I enjoyed it.
You know what? That makes sense. Where do I begin to 10 out of 10?
No, you did not give it a 10 out of 10. No, you went up higher than that.
Yeah, I gave it a 12 out of 10 as a joke, but I give this movie a 10 out of 10. This movie was made specifically for me.
No, Turner, you were made specifically for this movie.
Or something like that. But all jokes aside, let me be real. Godzilla, I can't thank enough. I know it's an IP. I know it's something that's just exists to make money because that's what everyone does with everything. Marvel's just there to make money. Marvel doesn't care about you, blah, blah, blah. But Godzilla matters a lot to me because it's something that I can't... the only other film that ever captured my imagination to the level that Godzilla did was Jurassic Park. And yes, we will cover that on this show at some point. But Godzilla matters so much to me. This was not the first movie I ever saw. In fact, I never saw the original Japanese until college. I saw King of the Monsters when I was really young, probably middle school, and I rented it at a movie theater, or not, at a video store with my grandma, and I watched it with her, and it was so much fun, and I'm so glad that I shared that experience with her. But this movie, I never saw it until college, and what a huge contrast to the first film I actually saw, which was Godzilla versus King Ghidorah from the Heisei era, which is literally just, Godzilla was hopping around Tokyo City like a big playground, that kind of style of film. And this movie, Like, I was shocked at how serious this film was when I saw it the very first time. I was like I always knew Godzilla was a metaphor for nukes. Like, it was obvious. Like, I couldn't have been such a huge fan without knowing that, but I've never seen it in its original context, and I was like, whoa, this movie's dark. Like, again, like, it's still goofy, but, like, I could see where they tried really hard to be as serious as they could. And, like, despite the fact that I don't like the love story, I think it could have been better. Godzilla -1 is a perfect example of, like, human characters with drama done correctly, and I love it. So much, so good. Oh, chef's kiss. But, like, what do I say about the movie that gave birth to one of my favorite, like, not necessarily a genre, but, like, a category of film called tokusatsu. Like, Power Rangers, Ultraman, Kamen Rider, pretty much any time a giant robot fights a giant monster, I can trace back to this film. This is like the first kaiju film. And yeah, you could really argue semantics all day long about what was the real first kaiju film, but like, this is it, man. This is the birth of giant monsters. And I love it so much. Like, I can sit here and dissect all the flaws and everything, but all I see is like a colossal effort that like ultimately paid off, and like, it speaks to my creative soul of how much I want to make stuff that people go, whoa, that's incredible. You did this? You made this? Like, yeah, I want to make shit. So I give this movie a 10 out of 10. It's exactly what I love this film. The only other film in the franchise I think is better than it is Godzilla -1. I'll be honest. I love this film so much. So yeah, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. And I averaged out our scores with me using 10 out of 10. We give this movie collectively a 9.3. That's going to be I think that's the highest score we're ever going to get, other than maybe -1.
For the Godzilla franchise.
Yeah.
I've seen some like bits and parts of like the later movies that we're gonna watch. I definitely have some very high scores for those, just of how fucking goofy they are.
The scene that we saw at Awa.
I've seen that full scene. It's really funny.
All right, everybody, it's time for trivia! Courtesy of IMDb, because I'm lazy.
I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to answer C for everything.
You got it. Because it's trivia.
Because it's a trivia and it's a test. You answer C for everything. You're guaranteed to get at least, some of the questions right.
Yep.
Oh, that reminds me. I saw a meme the other day where someone was like a teacher, and he was like, I made a pop quiz for my students, but I made every correct answer option C.
Oh,
and I watched this. They all got it.
You answer C for everything.
That's fucking evil.
There was once a test I took that I was like, oh, I bombed this. I did awful. And it's because most of the answers were A or B, with like two of the answers being D. And I was like, oh shit, I answered A or B for everything, and then I got like a 90 on it, and I was like, what? What?
I'm very curious though as to like why human psychology makes it so when we're taking tests or whatever, and like a bunch of answers one after the other, or like A or B or whatever, like because everyone knows what we're talking about. That's like a primal urge for some reason. It's just like, it cannot possibly be C 7 times in a row.
It has to do with like the ability for the human mind to recognize patterns, but like also our human mind is terrible at interpreting data at the same time. So
I
like,
guess.
Yeah, whatever. So we're gonna do some trivia. All right. Toho's sound department tried numerous animal roars for Godzilla. They were attempting to do a similar thing that they did with King Kong. Well, I mean, not them specifically, but what America did with King Kong. But they felt that they were unsuitable for an animal of such immense size. The film's music director, Akira Ifukube, actually was responsible for making Godzilla's roar by rubbing a coarse, resin-coated leather glove up and down a contrabass and reverberating the recorded sound. Also, Godzilla's thunderous footsteps were made by beating a kettle drum with a knotted rope. And just in my mind, I just love the image of them going, just to make his footsteps.
I know it's the art of folly, but as a former percussionist, just imagining them using a knotted rope and hitting what I can only assume was either a bass or a timpani drum with a knotted rope just kind of hurts my heart.
I mean, it's. I still feel like torturing a saxophone to make Anguirus is still really, really fun.
That's also really, really mean. That was worse. Damn, that poor Reed.
All right.
She doesn't love you. She's a wind instrument.
An often repeated myth is that the productions of both this film and Seven Samurai nearly drove Toho into bankruptcy, which is what I believed for a long time. This neglects to mention a third film that Toho made that year, Samurai 1
Musashi Miyamoto.
Yes, that. The most expensive Japanese films made up until that point, and big financial risk for Toho. However, there is little evidence to suggest that Toho was ever at risk of bankruptcy. Toho released a total of 68 feature films that year, including, Seven Samurai, Samurai 1, and Godzilla. So,
Damn, one film away from greatness.
Stop-motion animation was initially rejected for this film because of the amount of time it would take. Special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya, who is my personal hero, I love this man, sincerely wanted to use this method because it is what he learned to do with King Kong, because he had a personal copy of King Kong that he had learned how to do most of the special effects by watching that film, which is, real dedication to the craft. However, the grim reality was that there were simply not enough people in Japan with the experience in this technique, and Toho would never give them the time needed due to their tight production schedules. Tsuburaya had to pioneer the techniques of suitmation, which would make the production more feasible, though no less difficult. And this is one of the... a guy in a suit has been done before. This is one of the first times it was ever done to try and portray a monster of such a size.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. One of the most famous legends regarding the production of this film has director Ishiro Honda and special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya on the observation deck of one of Tokyo's buildings. They were planning Godzilla's path of destruction when the visitors on the deck overheard their conversation and became very concerned. The pair were then stopped by the authorities and questioned because they thought they were terrorists.
That is great.
It's the equivalent of going to the Golden Gate Bridge and being like, all right, so we're going to set off bombs here, here, and here. Oh, there's a school over there. Let's definitely hit that.
Oh my god. Having a cop be standing right behind you.
He starts pulling out his gun.
To me, it's... Imagine this. Everyone remembers the episode of Mythbusters. I don't know if everyone remembers this, because I've been rewatching Mythbusters, because I need to do something at work other than work.
Mythbusters.
Oh my gosh.
Don't even get me started on the rabbit hole I've been going through. But anyways, so there's this one episode where they did, I believe, Nikola Tesla's earthquake machine.
Oh, the resonant frequency stuff.
This is at the point of where they've already had their fame and their infamy. So imagine you're driving on the Golden Gate Bridge, you see the Mythbusters, and you think, oh, it's a Mythbusters, how great. Wait, why are they testing on the...
We're going to test the myth that this thing is actually indestructible.
Oh, no.
A common misconception is that the name Godzilla was created by U.S. distributors, which is something I actually believed. The name was actually the idea of Toho and its international sales division, who would translate Gojira into English as Godzilla. So I can see how it happened. So I always thought Americans came up with it. The Godzilla suit used for this film was so hot inside that the suit actor Haru Nakajima would frequently faint. According to Nakajima, temperatures inside the suit would reach 60 degrees Celsius, or if you're a filthy American, 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, thank you, because I don't understand Celsius.
You filthy American.
I only understand eagles per breadstick.
Dude, what about baguettes per Eiffel Tower? Because I'm French. Or no, I'm actually Irish.
Baguette, cigarettes, fuck it, we're done here. Dom, you and I had the exact same thought process.
Oh, dude, this next one's gonna pisses me off. All right, when this film was first released in Japan, the reception from critics was mixed at the time. In a negative review, Kinema, which is funny because his name is like one letter away from cinema, Kinema Junpo wrote that the dark tone made the film unenjoyable, and with Kujeku Shimbun,
God, your whiteness is showing all over the place.
complaining that about the social commentary. By contrast, a positive review by
Mainichi Shimbun.
Thank you. Lauded the film for its anti-nuclear message and tone. This guy's cool. Director Ishiro Honda, however, recalled that many people found the film weird, and the first sequel, Godzilla Raids Again, received better reviews than it did. And I hate that.
Well, no, I refuse to accept that trivia.
No, it's because people are sheep, dude. They think that the simple, no thought required Godzilla Raids Again was a better film. I hate it.
Little footnote for you, Turner. Shinbun means newspaper.
So that's not a last name. Is that just? Is it literally just the newspaper's name?
That's probably just the newspaper's name, not the people's actual name.
Well, don't I look stupid?
You were ill-informed.
Director George Lucas cites this film's miniatures as an inspiration for his special effects in the Star Wars film series. And I guess in a weird roundabout way, ultimately led me to being interested in miniatures. Hi, I like to paint minis.
Is that why the stormtroopers can't shoot for shit?
No, it's because their helmets suck.
Oh, it was all part of an elaborate plot set up by Lord Vader to make them think they were getting away.
I love that theory so much. It's so good. It's so good. It explains everything. Anyway.
But logistically, it's impossible.
Yeah.
The name Gojira is a combination of the Japanese words for gorilla, goria, and whale, kujira. The monster, so it's a gorilla whale.
I think we're going to say gorilla.
Gorilla.
The monster is said to have been named because it is, basically it's because there's a rumor that his name came from a really tall guy on set, and that was his nickname, but this is unconfirmed, and no one knows if it's true or not.
Yeah.
In 2004, the year of his 50th anniversary, Godzilla was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And Steve, you and I hunted down that star, and it was so sad because I thought we were going to spend like half an hour looking for it, and then it was literally right outside the parking garage.
We walked past it because we were like, all right, let's go look at this thing. And then we were looking on a map for it, and we're like, wait, we're going back the way we came from. And it was like right outside the parking structure.
You poor boys.
And then I posed sexy in front of it, and Steve took the picture.
Damn it, I was at work that day.
But thank you so much for helping me find it.
Man.
Anyway, so one of the original Godzilla designs for Godzilla had him as more of a human-shaped creature with a mushroom cloud head. I can show you guys an image of this later, but like it literally, his head looked like a mushroom cloud to be like really on the nose.
Oh, okay.
While it is always assumed that the suit was made out of rubber, the original Godzilla suit was made from a mixture of ready-mixed concrete, chicken wire, bamboo,
Everything but the kitchen sink.
everything but the kitchen sink.
No, I think they put in the kitchen sink just to make...
Just to make sure.
Just to make sure. The original suit they made was nearly impossible to move, resulting in a second suit being made and using liquid plastic polymer. The second suit was used for filming the majority of the scenes, while the first one was literally cut in half in case they wanted to do just walking around scenes so that the actor didn't melt alive.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
One of the film's earliest drafts, Dr. Yamane was written as a very dark and sinister character. In fact, one of the original ideas was to have Yamane sneak into the control room of the electrical towers and sabotage the attempt to kill Godzilla by electrocuting him. The reason why this was changed was because Ishiro Honda has a huge respect for scientists, and he wanted to portray them in a more realistic light. And this is back in an era when like scientists used to be respected, I swear, in films, and now they're just jokes.
Nerds in the chairs.
I find it interesting that the fact that where the original concept Because even then, I kind of wish they kept that because of how distraught he was that they decided to kill Godzilla.
And then I'm going to leave you with this. Godzilla was once going to be an octopus.
Bullshit.
Just a kraken.
No, I'm not going to elaborate.
It's literally just a kraken.
No, I'm done.
You done?
Nope, I'm not even good.
You can't.
All right.
You can't do this to me.
We can't keep letting him get away with this.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this journey through the grimdark beginning of the kaiju era. But I think it's time for something a little bit more silly. After raids again, Godzilla slept in ice for 7 long years, and now the king of the monsters is back. But what's this? There's a new challenger worthy of his title on the horizon. Next time on Real Jumpers, we're diving into the ultimate clash of the titans. King Dongus III versus Reptile with a flamethrower. It's King Kong versus Godzilla!
Team King Kong or Team Godzilla, which are you?
Yeah, Team Godzilla! Wow!
Nah, you want funny? I'll give you funny. Giant monkey versus stupid man in dinosaur suit waving his big dick around while he f***ed your mom.
All right, so last thing I'm going to say is that, so for everyone who is watching our podcast for the first time, thank you very much. We have a lot more content ahead of this episode. If you're watching in the chronological order that I intend you to listen to, the next episode will be actually our first episode on Godzilla King of the Monsters. Going forward, we will be continuing after Mothra with King Kong versus Godzilla. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope that you aren't too confused when you watch us for the first time. Please give our original episode a watch. The audio is a little rough, but I think it helps catalog our beginnings as a show. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. I can't believe we've reached 1,000 subscribers, and I can't wait to see where our show goes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for 1,000.
But thank you again. You're effectively joining us. Both the good and the bad, funny and the unfunny, and the stupid shit that was Raids again. Fuck that movie. I'm out.
Never in my imagination would I ever think that I'd be a part of a podcast. And never in my wildest dreams did I think it'd be because my friend wanted to find a reason to get us to watch his favorite franchise.
He forced us against our wills, man.
He did. He's like, I want to do this, and I want to record your guys' reaction. And that's exactly what he did. And look at you now. How do you feel, Turner?
I feel good. Also, for anyone who has finally sticked around this long, we're going to be launching a side series. Well, not necessarily a side series. It will still be Real Jumpers, but me, Dennis, and Dom are going to be starting soon watching through the Halo TV series, which, by the way, apparently got picked up by Netflix. It might be getting a 3rd season. I'm so excited!
Oh,
Wait,
really?
What?
It might. It hasn't been
I'm
confirmed,
gonna preface that they're not excited because they love it. They're excited because they think it's such a fucking train wreck.
It is a train wreck.
I love it so much. It's so horrible.
It's so bad, but it's so funny. Look how they massacred my boy.
So yes, we're going to start doing less scripted, less organized versions of Real Jumpers for that show because it's a TV show. It's a lot to get through, but I look forward to that. We're going to be shitting all over it. Okay, then that's all for now, troopers. We've analyzed the data, dissected the plot, and emerged victorious. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast, and join us next time for another sci-fi deep dive. This is Real Jumpers signing off.
Everyone, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Get out.